Hello, my name is Sylvia Mutsotso. I'm an information management project manager at CartONG, and today with me I have my colleague.
Hello everyone, thank you Sylvia. My name is Anastasiia Tsymbalova. I am information management and web development specialist at CartONG. Thank you for being with us today. I'm handing over to Sylvia.
In today's session, we are going to talk about the importance of user documentation for your projects, how one can be able to create them, maintain them, and share them with their users. User documentation, what is it? This is any content that has been developed to help users working with your product or service. It can be delivered in various forms, which could include user guides, release notes, operating procedures, walkthroughs, which are integrated into your product directly, or training guides as well. User documentation is not, setting it up is not an easy, but it's also good to make sure that the user's life is made easier for them. It's really important to have this user documentation because it's helpful to both the users and the support team. For the support team, it means they'll spend less time writing long emails explaining how a product works or how a certain feature works. It also enhances the user experience as users can easily consult the documentation whenever they're stuck while using your product. It acts as a reference material for them. They can refer to it at any moment. They can read, they can learn and know what exactly how your product or how your service works.
To continue on the importance of user documentation, the next question, why sometimes users do not read the documentation? Why they found very difficult to follow the structure? And it could be some reasons for this. The first one is poor documentation structure or no structure at all. The user usually looks the answers on the questions, and if there is no proper structure, it won't help them to find any relevant information. The next one is a poor content. You will need to think about the translation if your product is used in different countries. The lack of diagrams will take more time and effort to understand the complex process. And also, a lot of grammatical issues won't make a good impression on the user. The main one is the no link to documentation or is difficult to find, especially linked to the online documentation. If there is no proper defined navigation system, the user cannot access rapidly the content or find any piece of information they need. The last one is incompatibility for a specific device. If there are any additional software needed or user needs, if the user works on the camp and they have a not good internet connection, it's more useful for them to have on offline or downloadable tutorial.
So there are a few guidelines or tips that one can be able to follow to make sure that you have good user documentation for your product or for your service. One of them is ensuring that you have a well-defined documentation strategy. By this, you can be able to make sure that you have an outline, a clear outline for how you like your content to look like, have the main sections highlighted and that can help users understand what will be learned for each section. Ensure that you identify how you're going to host your content. Is it going to be online? Do you need to have it on a Google Drive? Do you need to have it on SharePoint? Is it for external or internal use only? Then who is going to be responsible for the content or for the creation of it? Who is going to be responsible to update it? You need to identify that person or groups of people that will be working on the documentation. You also need to understand and identify your audience. And understanding your users will help you know what are their needs, which language should that documentation be in, what are their technical skills. Can they be able to access it online? Are they able, do they just need it in a downloadable format? Do you need the documentation in multiple languages or not? then what will be the final format of the documentation? Do you want it to be accessible in a PDF? Should it be on an online website? Should it be a video? Or how exactly would you like your documentation to look like?
To continue on guidelines for good user documentation, the next point will be writing the documentation with plain and simple language, use descriptive titles and subtitles, also avoid using technical terms and acronyms, except in case you actually need to use them, but put the proper explanation. Use visuals to speed up the understanding of the complex process. Break complex tasks into simple one. It means provide the user with step-by-step guide to accomplish some of the tasks. Define an effective navigation. They will be able to access rapidly the content. It links to the table of contents. The worst would be for the user to get lost it, and for online documentation, it's very easy to keep table of contents most of the time. It will be visible for the user from right and from the left side. Get the feedback from the end user. You can use online survey, analytics tools. You can see what the section your user are more interested and how many tickets you prevent by using the user documentation. And the last one, it's be agile. It's keep your documentation up to date. If there is new features, it need to be proper documented. If some of the features are not used anymore, it should be mentioned, like in this current version, this feature is not supported. And have a proper mechanism or software for keeping any changes to make collaboration process more easier. Be done for the guidance for the good documentation, and we would like to come up with some of the examples. The first tutorial is a tutorial created by using Google Docs. The same logic could be applied for tutorials hosted on Dropbox, OneDrive, SharePoint. We choose one of our projects implemented for UNICEF. It's called the Balance Scorecard, and one of the components it's the Balance Scorecard assessment tool. The health facility survey assessing the quality of primary health care services. It's also including equipments, patient satisfaction provided in different settings as the camp, urban settings, emergency situation. Currently, the tool has been widely used in 30 countries, and I would like to share you how it looks. The format is a simple presentation. With access, only view this kind of tutorial. You can see how the data should be collected, some explanation, and so on. And we would like to look more on the pro and cons this kind of tutorials. For this specific project, for us, it was very important to create something quick with possibility to download the file in case of the internet connection is not good, and to share inside of the team easily. That's why the Pro is free and easy to use. You don't need to have any additional skills. You can easy reading and editing. This kind of tool, you need to only to have a browser and access to the internet in case if it's online. It's very easy to collaborate, add the comments, spell checkers. For the cons, one of them, it's not self-contained. It means this kind of document, means the design, font, and so on could be look different in different operation system or hardware, and can contain interactive elements and very limited navigation features. If you put the table of contents, you always need to come back to the slide with the table of contents. And missing translation interface, in this case, you will need to have a separate document. The next one is also linked to the Balance Scorecard project. There is a separate component. It's called the Balance Scorecard dashboard. There is a website for visualizing the results collected and scored by using the Balance Scorecard assessment tool. It's called, the tutorial called step-by-step tutorial. The main benefit of this tutorial, it's linked directly inside of the product. I would like to present you the Balance Scorecard website. This is the website, and here we have a specific button, Help, which give you step-by-step explanation on how the data could be filtered, how the data could be displayed on the map, what kind of layouts we have on this map. And there is a lot of different features. You can find it here. What is the pro and cons of using this kind of step-by-step tutorial is very interactive. It speeds up the understanding and it's very easy to clarify the complex tasks and provide you with simple steps. It's part of the products and translating interface. If your website include multiple language, it's very easy to apply to this kind of tutorial. What is the cons? It's required effort and time. It needs technical skills and it's not so easy to print. It should be separate interface edit to this kind of tutorial. Not easy for editing. It could be done by developers and it depends, internet connection definitely, but if your website with some offline feature, it's possible to view the tutorial, but for most of the cases, it won't be accessible. The next one, it would be downloadable PDF tutorials. This kind of tutorial, they have a link inside of the website. We choose example for UNHCR water sanitation hygiene program. This kind of program ensures the delivery and water sanitation services for refugee, returnees, and different settings as the camp, outside of the camp. We'll present you the link. This is the UNHCR site, and here you have UNHCR WAS manual program guidance. You can download it, and once you download, you can easily open it in your website. Let me open quickly the tutorial. Here's the table of content, some explanation on technical terms, and much more. If we come back to the pro and cons of this kind of PDF tutorials, this is popularity format. It's easy reading. You can use the browsers. It's self-contained. It could be look the same way on a different operational system. It's security. You can add login and some password to it. Small site. It's downloadable and offline. The content difficult to edit. You need to use a specific software to edit and convert it back to PDF format. You can contain interactive elements. It's not easy searchable. Again, you need to come back to the content, and it's missing translation interface. In this case, you will need to create a separate document.
So in addition to that, we also have online documentation tools which can be created using static website generators. And static website generators are applications that you can run on your command line and compile a website. So you define you have some source files, and within those source files, you define how you like that online documentation website to look like, which layout will you like to have, how will you like the user interface to be like. And you can only do that using static generators, such as we have an example of Jekyll. We have another one that's commonly known as Sphinx.
I would like to present you some example for online doc tools. The first one is Medical Referral Database Project. It's a web application that supports UNHCR and partners in recording referral cases. And sometimes there is a patient cases in refugee settings. The tutorial, there is a separate project for tutorial. It's called Medical Referral Database Tutorial, created by using Jekyll and hosted on GitHub pages. Since we have a private account, it can be accessible and public and private. It's still under development, but I would like to show you the structure and the main page. You see here the context, some of the sections, also the first one, link inside of each section. It's translated in French and English. Also, it will be the possibility to download in PDF, and maybe the most interesting part is the search, which search across the whole documentation. The next example we choose for Open Data Kit. It's suited for open source tool that help organization collect and manage data. The ODK tutorial was written by using Sphinx documentation tool and hosted on Read the Docs. What is the benefits of using this kind of documentation? You can easily download this documentation in PDF. You can ask support in ODK forum. Also, if you can find any issues, you can be a contributor, you can assist in solving these kind of issues. Here you can see that it was written in Sphinx. What is the pro and con to summarize of using online documentation tool? Is very customizable. You can apply any design, any layouts to your document online tool. Also, it's easy maintenance and scalability in case if any changes come to your online document. Translating interface. As collaborative editing, in examples with Jekyll, you will need to use some simple language. It's called Markdown. In case of String, it's restructured text, but the logic is mostly the same behind all these languages. This is also navigation feature. It will be the full text search, and you can find any piece of information you need. Various formats available, both online and downloadable files, performance and security. It could be private, you can have a login and password. The cons, it requires a lot of effort, not a lot, but some effort and time for setting up with support from development or IT team and learning how to edit.
And finally, just to summarize what we've said, as you can see, when it comes to Google Docs, PDF, it's really you can easily be able to. You don't require any skills to develop such kind of tools. When it comes to online documentation, you need some skills such as having a software developer, making sure that they set it up, and for online tools, they're also easy to maintain and to track. When it comes to being able to translate and having the translation interface integrated within the documentation, online tools are able to do this as compared to Google Docs, whereby you'll need to have two versions of the documentation or various versions of the documentation depending on the language that your users use. If you have any questions on how to be able to create a good user documentation, do not hesitate to reach out to both Anastasiia and I, and we'll be happy to respond to you and help you get kickstarted in setting up your user documentation. Thank you so much for listening to us today, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, yes, for your interest. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.